That's going to do it for the 2023 season. Ryan Blaney is your brand new champ. Kevin Harvick hangs it up for good, and the Melon Man gets it done out in Phoenix. We're going to break everything down that we saw out in Phoenix this weekend today on Shifting Gears.
Let's go! That is my guy! Yeah!
I'm Alan Bailey, and guess what? Make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you come back for the next video. And while you're down there, let me know in the comments down below, what did you think of the racing action today at the Phoenix Raceway? We are here at Phoenix. You can see the front stretch right behind me. We're right here at Pit Road Exit. Honestly, this was a cool race. We did see some pretty decent racing, especially in the Xfinity Series, but also some pretty good racing in the Cup Series. Yeah, we had some long green flag runs and we had a lot of drama, so let's break it all down. First off, Ryan Blaney is your 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champ. It is the fourth title for Roger Penske as an owner, back-to-back in the Cup Series for Roger Penske and everybody at the Penske organization. Honestly, Blaney had a fast car all day. He started sub-10th outside the top 10 and had to work his way forward. And early on, him and Christopher Bell kind of didn't look that great. They were kind of in that first stage, and then they kind of started to improve, work their way towards the front. And then on the long runs, you really saw Blaney come to the front there. And Blaney just peaked at the right time. That's what you have to do in this series now. He went out and won Talladega. That catapulted him into the postseason further. Then he went out and won Martinsville when he didn't need to. And now he wins out here, or at least comes home second, I should say, to Ross Chastain out here, who, by the way, kind of gets overshadowed by the championship. Trackhouse getting it done at the very, very, very end. They've been off all season. Yes, they had a win at Nashville earlier in the season, but after that, not so much. They were kind of not all there, and especially the 99. To see Chastain come out here and, to Chastain's credit, say, I'm not going to pull over. I'm not going to give this victory away to the guy who's going to win the championship. He can finish behind me and still win the championship. I want to go get this race win. Kudos to him, because honestly, last year in this race, we saw Blaney take it easy on his teammate and let his teammate go get all the glory and get the victory. And not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just not cool, for lack of a better term. But Ryan Blaney, early on in this race, yes, he came home second, but he was pissed all day. He was pissed early in stage one and for most of stage two. And he was saying very R-rated things, let's just say on the radio, that we cannot repeat here because of YouTube. But he was upset. Let's just leave it at that. They worked on the car, they got around people on the racetrack that they needed to get around, and finally they got up to the front. They led some laps. They were actually pretty good all day long, and he was driving pissed off. He got extraordinarily physical with Ross Chastain when he didn't really need to. He didn't need to win this race. He simply needed to finish in front of the other three top Final Four contenders for this championship, and he did that. You had Kyle Larson, who came home third. Larson just didn't have the speed. Yes, they had a phenomenal final pit stop, and that's just Hendrick Motorsports and Kyle Larson and that pit crew doing what they do best. It's what won them the championship in 2021 out here at Phoenix, and we thought that, oh, we're going to see this again. As soon as he got off first on pit road, everybody on pit road kind of sighed and they went, oh, it's another Larson year. Gotcha. Hendrick Motorsports, unbeatable on pit road. Gotcha. But sure enough, that wasn't the case. They actually faded right there. And even in the media center, Hendrick Motorsports and more specifically William Byron, sitting next to Kyle Larson in the media center, admitted, yeah, we need more speed on short tracks as a team. And I really agree with that, because they truly do need to find some speed. You look at the Hendrick cars, yeah, they showed up in qualifying. Yes, they showed up in practice. But in this race, they were lacking. And that's disappointing for Hendrick Motorsports fans. But honestly, they started to show flashes of brilliance in this race. They just couldn't take it over the long run, and Blaney was simply not going to be denied a championship today. He was not going to be denied what could have been a victory, what ultimately wasn't a victory, but he got the championship, and that's ultimately what matters for him. Larson having pit box number 6 was a big part of him getting off of pit road first. You look at Blaney, he had pit box number 38. He was one of the first pit boxes out in turn, whatever the old front stretch used to be, the back stretch, quote unquote now. And honestly, I thought that was going to be a losing move for Blaney. Myself, I was down here over by Larson and Blaney's pits because they were pitted right next to each other more or less, with the 24 in pit stall number 1, with the 5 car in pit stall number 6. And then, honestly, I thought one of these two guys are going to win the championship. That's why a lot of media people were hanging out down there. And then as soon as Blaney got around him with about 10 laps to go, everybody started hoofing it down to pit box number 38. I was one of them, and I got down there, and that was a cool moment. It's good for the 12 car. It's good for Penske and for all of them. Good weekend for Ford overall, picking up championships in the top 3 series. But honestly, it wasn't a good year overall. Chevrolet swept the top 3 series as far as manufacturer championships, with more victories, with more on-track success. But yes, it was Fords that ended up hoisting the championship hardware at the end of the year out here in Phoenix. So, it's a little bit of a mixed bag right there. Gotta and wanna, hello helicopter, talk about Kevin Harvick, because Kevin Harvick honestly had a really good race out here. I think when he went to the front in stage number 1, towards the end of stage number 1, and was contending for the lead, and in stage number 2, the crowd here went absolutely bonkers. He's had so much success out here at Phoenix. He raced out here as a kid growing up out in Bakersfield, California. They came out here to Phoenix. It's about a 350-mile commute, give or take, from where he lives initially, maybe 400 miles. And he drove out here a lot in the 90s, and he has an emotional attachment to this place. And I think him being so good here and having his final race here, it kind of coincides with it. It's kind of a nice little Cinderella bow on top of what was an amazing career for Kevin Harvick. That's weird to start saying, oh, his career is over. It officially is over. Honestly, you look at Harvick, championship, Daytona 500, Brickyard 400 victories, Coke 600. Just, this guy did everything in the sport that you can do as a driver. No, he didn't have multiple championships. No, he wasn't contending for the championship in his final year like Jeff Gordon did, but that doesn't deteriorate or take away from what was an amazing, extraordinary career. He had a standing ovation in the drivers' meeting, and there was a lot of sentiment and a lot built up around him. Hundreds of people around his car and around him. They took the car for post-race tech, and he and everybody was still standing where the car was, and they were still, soaking in the moment. They brought out a bunch of Busch beer, and they were really enjoying themselves and having a really great moment, final moment out here for Kevin Harvick. He didn't have that many people, not that many friends and family members out here to celebrate his last one. He wanted to focus on the race. He wanted to focus on what was happening out here. I think he really did view this as a chance to get a final victory, and unfortunately, didn't really work out. But nevertheless, it still was a really good race for him. He came home 7th, was running top 5, top 10 all day long. Hello, street sweeper. That's coming my way. Apologies. We're live here at the track, looking on over. Harvick is still there with the car. They teched the car and they brought it back, and he's still there. Blaney is still in victory lane over there, and we were there when he got out of his car. And honestly, big moment for Blaney, big moment for everybody in the organization. And you look at Blaney, what is he going to be as a champ? We'll talk about it in a second, because we got to talk about the 20 car and Christopher Bell. DNF, there's not much you could say about it, and this has kind of been Joe Gibbs's MO the last couple of seasons. Parts failures. Toyota's MO the last few seasons. Part failures. You look at what happened with Denny Hamlin earlier this season out at Homestead, a parts failure, and Martin Truex Jr., same race. Parts failures put them in the garage with DNFs. It prevented Denny Hamlin ultimately from competing for a championship in 2023. A lot of people compare Denny Hamlin to Mark Martin because Martin was never able to get it done. And Jack Roush and Mark Martin both admit openly and very publicly that if Mark Martin had gone to any other organization, he would have had tremendous on-track success. And I 100% agree with that. And I honestly think that Joe Gibbs Racing is the new Roush Racing, in the sense that they are good on paper, that they should be getting it done, that they have all the resources and the sponsors and the manufacturer OEM support that they need. However, they continue to find new ways to fail their drivers. And it's happened with Denny Hamlin time and time again in his career. His team finds a way to let him down and to basically take a championship away from him. And they did that today out here with Christopher Bell. No, they didn't intentionally have those parts fail, but the brakes, somehow, we don't know the full situation because they haven't diagnosed it yet, but something in the brake system failed. Whether it was a rotor blowing out, whether it was something in the line, who knows, but that DeWalt Toyota went hard into the wall, and ultimately their day was done. Christopher Bell was all right, but you could tell he was disappointed, and he was the guy who really didn't have a whole lot of momentum coming into this race. I know that's saying something because he just won Homestead a few weeks ago, but honestly, he never really had the winning car, so to speak, out here this weekend. He never really showed the speed that the 12, that the 5, that the 24 all showed at some point out here this weekend. He was very much the fourth guy in this championship battle, and maybe that will change next year. It's a second championship 4 appearance, but he definitely was more prepared this season than he was last season for the championship 4, and we saw the results out here today. A DNF, and he was complaining early on in the race, as early as lap 5, that he was having issues with those brakes, and they were feeling squishy in that first run in stage number 1. That's not good. I want to talk about Ross Chastain real quick. He honestly had a really good car. He was running top 10, qualified top 10, ran just inside the top 5 for most of the race, and then got to the lead right there. And I don't want to say he never looked back, but he was the guy who was in the top 3 from that point on and was really showing that he had the speed and really showing, hey, you want this victory, you got to come take it from me. And the Melon Man was not laying down for anyone, and that was stupendous to see as a race fan. Honestly, it was wonderful. Want to talk about the champion, or the Xfinity race, I should say, out here. Cole Custer is your 2023 NASCAR Xfinity Series champ. Very deserving champ. He went back down to the Xfinity Series this season because, frankly, he wasn't getting it done in the Cup Series in the 41. There was some sponsorship issues with Ryan Preece coming in with some sponsors essentially buying that ride, and Custard, whose father is heavily involved in the management side over at Stewart-Haas Racing, went on down to the Xfinity Series. I think that's a good move. I'm a big proprietor. If you're struggling, if you're running sub 30th or worse every single week in the Cup Series, head down to the Xfinity Series and go contend, run top 5, and contend for wins and a championship down in the Xfinity Series, because I personally would rather win on Saturday than run sub 30th, sub 35th all day long on Sunday. That's just my personal belief. And he went out there, got it done, got a bunch of wins this season, had one heck of a restart right there at the very end. Honestly, I was blown away. We were here on pit road, and phenomenal restart. Tony Stewart was blown away by that restart. I think we all were. At one point, the championship 4 were not only 1, 2, 3, 4 on the racetrack, but they were 4 wide. And TV, they're 3 wide, when they were really 4 wide. Yeah, I'll give them a break on that one. But honestly, you gotta hand it to the racing in the Xfinity Series. It's hands down the best racing in all of NASCAR, including the Cup Series. I truly think you need to take the Cup car, send it to the Xfinity Series, and put the Xfinity car in the Cup Series, because we see phenomenal racing in the Xfinity Series, and I look forward to what the new TV contract with the Xfinity Series being carried on the CW in a few years will do for that series. I think it's going to bring a younger audience, and I definitely think it's going to showcase some not only phenomenal racing, but it's going to be put into the homes of a lot more people, with the CW being readily available for a good amount of Americans through free broadcasting, but also the app, the streaming app for the CW, will carry all the Xfinity Series racing, and that will be free, which is great. I'm very much looking forward to being able to watch every single Xfinity Series race live without having to pay, and that is a big component, and I think it's going to add to the popularity of the Xfinity Series moving forward. The Truck Series. It was a shit show. Like, pardon my French, it was a shit show. Like, caution after caution, over 25 laps added on Friday night. I didn't go to that race. I was still home. I commuted out here on Saturday morning, and damn am I glad that I stayed home on Friday night, because that was just a disgrace. You had the issues with the 42 and the 11 with frankly, a lot of people in the garage area, particular Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin, both calling out Carson Hocevar for putting on an act for getting into the 11 car, and they're claiming that he wrecked him intentionally, and that Carson getting upset and verbally upset in the car and after the race was just all an act. And honestly, I don't think they're wrong. I think that when you see how Carson was racing the 11 in those closing laps, in the last few laps leading up to that incident, I think he was trying to do that. And I think he was honestly just kept sending it in there, not caring, sending it in there, not caring. And eventually he got the 11 and spun him around. The 11 car, or the 11 truck, I should say, was it justified? Yeah. Because essentially the 11 truck had what would have been a championship taken away from him because just that 42 got a little impatient. I mean, we have a new Ross Chastain coming into the Cup Series, to be frank. Yes, he does have a little maturing to do, but I do think he'll get there eventually. So not much you could say about it. Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't here for the post-race 3-drink minimum media press conference. That was interesting, but it truly is a cool way to start off the weekend. Ford dominating as far as lifting the hardware all season long. Good for them. They didn't, like I said, they did not win the Manufacturers Championship, but overall, they still raised the championship trophy in all 3 series. That's a little bit more important than winning the Manufacturers Championship. You know why? Because the highlight reels will show all 3 of those champs lifting the hardware with a Ford logo on their chest, and you don't really see the Chevy logo with 2023 Manufacturers Championship. Not so much. So it's all about the driver championship still to this day. And honestly, you got to hand it to Ryan Blaney. I do think he's going to be a good champ for NASCAR. He's a young driver who's going to be here for at least another 15, 20 years. We don't know. And really, for the first time in his career, he's showing that he deserves to be maybe the number 1 driver over Penske. Logano didn't get it done this season. That team struggled. And the 12 was quietly having a pretty decent year. And then all of a sudden they had a really great year when it counted the most in the postseason, in the playoffs, particularly Talladega and Martinsville. They got it done. And oh, by the way, they ran second out at Homestead and second out here in Phoenix. So legitimately, we don't know what the new Ford body is going to do. Ford did unveil their brand new body for the Mustang Dark Horse out here at Phoenix, and the fenders are a little flared, and that raised a few eyebrows with fans and with other drivers. And I think Ford's not going to bring a product to the racetrack that they haven't thoroughly tested in the wind tunnel and on the racetrack. And I do think that they will potentially struggle for the first part of the 2024 season, but overall, I do anticipate them to be a little bit more competitive. They weren't as competitive in 2023, and a lot of people, including myself, speculated that it was because Ford was developing the 2024 car. I still think that that's the case. But I want to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you think of the race that we saw out here, the racing, I should say, out at Phoenix over the weekend? What did you think about Ryan Blaney being really aggressive and getting it done as your 2023 champ? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're there, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you come back for the next video and all the new videos that we'll have during the off season and the 2024 season. We do have a 2-parter race vlog that's going to be coming out hopefully this week. Hopefully, I'm saying that. Hopefully this guy gets the editing done on it this week, which I think I will. And we're going to put those videos out sometime in the next few days, hopefully. If not, early next week. And we're also going to be doing some really cool content during the off season with a little bit more history and a little bit more evergreen topics, so to speak, on the history of NASCAR and everything that we've seen in the 2023 schedule. So make sure that you leave comments down below for video ideas. What do you want to see more of on the channel? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you guys so much. This has been a really fun year for me. It's a new personal record for me for going to Cup races in a single season in person. We were at the LA Clash, we were at Fontana, we were at Las Vegas, and we were at the season finale out here for Cup races. I went to many more local short track races and announced a bunch more as well, including at Irwindale Speedway and Orange Show Speedway in Southern California. So I had a phenomenal season. My wife and I have been having a little bit of a hard time lately. Everything's okay with us, but just life, you know, living in America in 2023 has kind of weighed us down a little bit. So we're struggling a little bit, but because of you guys supporting the channel, sharing this, and also mashing that subscribe button, sharing this on your social medias, just being involved with the channel, it has grown exponentially in the last 12 months, and we're going to continue to grow. We're not going anywhere. Want to do more, want to bring more people onto the channel, want to have more guests, want to do more races. Let me know in the comments down below, what races do you want to see us go out to in 2023 or 2024, I should say. Kevin Harvick's car being pushed away right here next to me, and the crowd heading out with it. But honestly, I'm gonna miss Kevin Harvick in the Cup Series, y'all. Watching them push the Harvick car that you get in NASCAR Thunder 04 for not having the age verification done it's got me a little emotional, knowing that this is the end of his career, and we've seen the last of Kevin Harvick on the racetrack potentially ever. So, man, heck of a career for Kevin Harvick. But I got to get out of here. I got to go put this video up for y'all and start the 5.5-hour commute back to Southern California. So want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel in the 2023 season. For Shifting Gears from the Phoenix Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see ya at the track.